In this video, we are going to take a look at JavaScript functions, and functions are the main building blocks of a JavaScript program. They allow you to write code once and you can call it many times without repetition, and therefore the code becomes more reusable. So let's perform what we call a function declaration, or simply declare a function. And right here, we usually start with a function keyword and then the name of the function. So I'll call it say hello. And how we choose function name is by using verbs, because functions are meant to do something. And then we use some brackets, and in here we can pass some variables which we call parameters, which are also optional. So we can jump that for now. And then I include some curly brackets, and in here is where we have the body of the function, and this is where you can write the logic of this particular function. In this case, I'll just say console.log of hello. And now we need to run this function. To run this function, we need to perform what we call a function call, or we need to perform what we call a function invocation. So to invoke this function, we just include its name here and then the brackets. And this way we have invoked this function, or we have called this function. And now we should be able to see hello at the console right here. So I'll go ahead and save, and we see hello at the console. Now let's include some variable here which we call parameters. So I can say message, and I can log this message to the console. And if I call these functions just like this, we will get undefined because we don't have the value of the message at the moment. So I'll go ahead and save. This is undefined. So to include the value for this particular message, we need to pass its value when calling this function. So right here, I can pass hello. And then when I save now, we should get hello at the console. We no longer get undefined. Now, this value, which we pass like this when calling the function, is called an argument. And then this variable, which we pass when declaring a function, is called a parameter. So when you hear a parameter, note that it's a variable which is included when declaring the function, and the argument is the actual value of a parameter. So we can be able to call this function multiple times. And when I save, you'll see that we get hello. But now the good thing is that we can include a different value here. And when I save, we get hello and hi. And this way, this function is a bit reusable, or more usable than before, which is really cool. And we can be able to pass our default value for our variable or our parameter there. So right now, when I save, the first value is hello and the second one undefined. So if right here, I come and say is equals to hi and save, we get this hi as the default value for our parameter. And once you include a value, that will be replaced. And this doesn't have to be a string. It can be a number, it can be an object, and so on and so forth. As you can see, we can still log these at the console. So that is all about parameters and arguments. Now let's take a look at what we call the return keyword. Now we use the return keyword when we want to return some form of value from this function, and then we store that value when calling the function, and then we can be able to make use of it anywhere else in the program. So let's have a different example down here. So I'll go ahead and create a function, and we'll use this function to get a sum of two numbers. So I'll pass the first parameter and then the second parameter. And now in here, we can be able to say return A plus B. And now down here, when we call this particular function, we can be able to include the result of A plus B in a variable. So I can say let result be equal to, we call our function and we pass the arguments for A and B. So let's say we want to add 2 and 3. So now this result will hold the sum of a and b, which will be 5. So let's go ahead and drop this to the console. So I'll console.log of result, and when I save this, we will get 5 at the console, and here it is. Now, what have we done? We have included a return keyword right here, and what we are returning is the sum of a and b. And now when we do this, we can be able to call our function, and this will be able to give us the value of a plus b, and we can store that value on a variable like this. Then we can take this variable and use it anywhere else in our code. In this case, we are just logging that to the console. Now, one thing that you need to note about the return keyword, it immediately stops any further execution of our code. So for example, if right here I say console.log of hello, and then now down here I include console .log of hey, what will happen is that this code right here will not be executed because it comes after our return keyword. And when I hover over it, you'll see this is an reachable code. So when I save, you'll see that we get hello, and then we get 5, but we don't get hey at the console. So yeah, that is it about the return keyword. Now, we have another way of defining a function, and that is what we call the function expression. So this is function declaration. Let's turn this one right here to what we call a function expression. So I'll say function expression, and a function expression, we usually make use of a variable. So I can say ret and then the name of the function, and then we say is equals to, we include the function keyword, but this time we will not include the name here. So we usually include the name right here as a variable, and then we include the parameters, and that is the only difference. So I can go ahead and remove these console logs. And when I save, we should get 5 at the console. That works as before. Now, what is the difference between function declaration and function expression? First of all is how you are defining them. And then the second main difference is that function declaration are hoisted, while function expression will not be hoisted. And by hoisting mean that if we call this function, let me remove that call. If we call this function before we even declare it, we should still get a hello at the console. So if I save that, we still get hello at the console, and that is because this say hello is hoisted. And then if we try that with our function expression, we call it even before we declare it, we will get an error at the console. So if I save that, you'll see cannot access sum before initialization. So this will not be hoisted, or JavaScript will not take it at the top of the file before it continue execution of the rest of the code. So which one should you use? I recommend you use this one because you are forced to declare the function even before you call it. So you won't have unnecessary calls in your code, okay? So go with function expression. So yeah, that is it about this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.